My guest today built Blame My Youth into one of alt rock's most addictive new voices. His debut single is Grammy nominated. You've heard it on the Bill and Ted Face the Music soundtrack. Radio Heat with The Break, one of his greatest singles, I believe, this thus far. In a new chapter co-written and produced. The latest single, Not Alone, turns jealousy into a stadium-sized hook. Sean Van Vliet, welcome to Meet Me for Coffee.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I got mine. You got yours?
I
Cheers.
had mine. I had mine. I had like enough for like 10, 20 people. So,
That's what I do
um,
daily, man. It's
yeah,
like I'm doing coffee keg stands when I wake up in the morning these days.
I'm into the
Feels better.
cold brew. I'm also like most recently, I'm just because of my culture, I have a Greek, Middle Eastern culture in my background, right? So, I'm into like the Turkish coffee. I'm into
Same.
really.
Yeah, I'm actually half. I have my dad's side hit my grandma and grandpa. God rest their souls. They're. I grew up. We're half Assyrian, which we figured out that my dad did the 23andMe, and it was like he was North African and a little bit Iranian. So I have half of that, half Irish. So I'm called to the Turkish coffee as well.
It's just like in your blood, and you know what? It's very pure. It's pretty cool. The old process is not percolated. It's on the stove top, and my friend is like he's full blood Assyrian actually, and I ended up spending a few nights with him drinking some raki, and I somehow
Woo.
feel embedded in that culture after that hangover. But you
Yeah, dude, no thanks.
You've got,
I'm that
you've
man.
got so much great music, man. You keep pumping it
Thank
out. Your track Not Alone lives in jealousy without sounding bitter. What specific moment or image unlocked that tone? And like, what's the line you almost cut for being too petty?
Oh, you know what, man? The thing about Blame My Youth is that so I've been in a relationship now for a long time, but I have like when I decide to start like name the band, I'm like, man, you know what? I got life's pretty all right now. I'm writing songs, I got kids and all that, but like I have like duffel bags hanging in the closet of skeletons. So I always like can tap into heartbreak, and for me the heartbreak was 2007 Summer of Sean, and I can tap into for some reason, dude, that was just an immense year of like just like it was one relationship that really just devastated me, and I started a band because of that back in the day called Empires. But I always like reach back into that. I had like just so much toxicity that I've sort of shed, but do you ever really? Because it's like you can, your memory is just still as fresh as it was. So man, we were just writing that song. I was writing it with Joey, my main collaborator, and we were just, I think we were both tapping into unique situations to us. We weren't really, it was one of those things we weren't really talking about it. And it's just like, we weren't talking about our specific situations, but we were both like thinking about the one person that, that you were kind of a jerk to, that you were kind of, we call him the shitter guy, that was like, just overcome with jealousy and just like not the best human because we've been there. So it's like tap into that and like how it's like you might have messed this relationship up, but like it's like you don't want somebody else to have what was once yours. It's the most petty thing on planet Earth, and like tales all his time. But I was once that guy, so it was pretty easy to kind of tap into remembering that specific. But the line that was too petty, I can't remember what that was, to be honest with you. We threw out so many lines in that, and I can't think of the line that we threw away that I thought was too petty. It probably exists. What's gonna happen is we're gonna hang up and be like, oh man, that's what he's talking about.
Hey, you can call me back anytime, man. I'm sure I'll answer.
But the
Who?
break too, the break was like the first. That was like the first song because when I started this band, I watched two movies the night before I wrote my first song for the band. I watched Big Lebowski and Trainspotting. And
Excellent.
I was like, dude, I want this sort of like what does Big Lebowski rock sound like? And I was drinking a ton of beer at this point, and I woke up on the edge of the bed hungover, and just like, man, I can't allow myself to feel like this. So I'm like, I wrote the opposite of how I was feeling. Fantastic, the first song, and then fast forward to the break. So we did these like Big Lebowski rock style type songs, type bits, and then the break, that was the first big pivot for us. Like instead of screaming all the time, I'll tell you the quick story on that song is that I walked into the studio in Nashville, and Joey and I normally when I walk in, it's like riding a Bronco. We're having a good time. We're like, what do you want to write about? What do you want to record? We're just having a good time. And that day, like I walked in the studio, he put his hand up to the door, like "Don't come in here," because he was on some Zoom. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I went and I got a guitar in one of the other studio rooms, and I just started messing around with this idea because at the time I was writing a lot for others. So it was a really poppy kind of idea. It was just the "She keeps me wide awake," that like this sort of thing. I'm like, oh man, that's catchy. So I walked in, and he's sitting on the couch, kind of hunched over, looking at his phone, and not looking at me at all. I'm like, dang, I could feel the cold. Like it's just like a wall between us. So I started just playing that thing to myself, like I'm like trying to break the ice. And I start playing it, and he looks up from his phone. He's got it there, and he looks up, and he goes, "That's really good. Keep playing it." And then, then I'm like, all right. So I keep playing it, and he starts throwing out lines because I think he was going through some stuff as well. So he starts throwing out lines, and it was the first song that we wrote back and forth, like about heartbreak too, because Blame My Youth didn't do any of that at this time. It's all lifestyle stuff, like Prize Fighter, Tentacles, kind of self-help songs with like, the hopeful hangover twist. So we wrote the break, and then we finished it, and I'm just kind of like, man, what? This is way different. Like, I guess it's for me. Like, we wrote the song. It's our story. And he's like, yes, this is your song. It's your next single. And I walk over to the keg in the studio, and I go to pour a celebratory beer, and I saw these wine glasses that were hanging there. I'm like, huh. So I take the wine glass, and I pour like Bush Light into the wine glass, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, man, it used to be Big Lebowski rock. I think this new style is called beer in a wine glass. So it
Beautiful.
still gets you messed up, cleans up a little bit, like more refined choruses. So that was like the birth of that. And then we did that song Running. We did Olay. We did this crazy song Tokyo Rose, and which actually brought us to Tokyo for a music video. And then we did Lose Somebody and Not Alone. So
Well, you got like, what is it, 26, 27 million plus streams, and it's that the song The Break was like top 10 in alt rock. Like that's
yeah, dude,
incredible.
that was pretty awesome. That was actually my favorite. I've been in bands. This is like my fifth band. That was probably the year when we were going to radio. When we got to do it all of 2024, we were doing the radio tour. So we're just going like to Philly, go to Portland, just jetting all over the place because we had a tour with this band called Kid Capici from the UK. It fell through. So we had no tour. So I was just doing acoustic stuff with my guitar player, Will. And dude, I was just going, meeting radio stations and playing these like acoustic, kind of behind the music type shows, just like we were talking. It's kind of like being a host at a bar, and you're like, you can even stop mid song and just talk to the audience. There's like 40 people there. So we did that, and then we just saw the song keep climbing, and it opened up this whole nother world for us. But man, that was probably one of my favorite times of being in a band ever, just doing those radio. And I honestly went into it being like, oh man, I've heard that's really like hard to do the radio thing. You wake up early in the morning. We like to party, so it's like, how's this gonna work out? And it was awesome, man. It was like super fulfilling. I can't wait to honestly do that again. And I know the radio game's changed a lot, but I'd love to just do that again because you really get to connect with people and then you make fans. And if there's 40 people there watching you do like a behind the music type thing, they're gonna come to your show because you like connect with them. Like I said, it's kind of like being the host of a bar, a small bar that you kind of got to make people feel comfortable and just tell your story. And yeah, it was awesome, man. That was where we were really like kind of getting our legs. Took us a long time, but we started getting some momentum there.
Hey, the Sonic Open Bar, man. I guess the unexpected drink that you added on the
That's
menu
it.
was the Bush
That's
Light or what, a Bush in the wine glass,
Bush in a wine glass, beer in a wine glass.
Bush
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
wine glass.
yeah. Sonic Open Bar for sure. Like I was a bartender in my last life for 10 years while I was in my last band Empires, and it was great. I got to like run this bar or like work at this bar, and I got to like go in and out of town whenever we had a tour. The owners would just let me like go out for like 3 months and come back and always have a job. So I loved that, and it was a small type bar where like people were waiting. They had tables upstairs, and this is a speakeasy, so it was an Italian restaurant called Fiore in Chicago, and people had to come down to this like basement bar that wasn't the most comfortable setting, but it allowed me like I had to be like they come down the steps and they look at me. I'm like, hey, it's just us. We're on a date. So it's like it's kind of like I got to by doing that. I didn't realize I was training myself for doing this on stage. Just kind
Yeah,
of
man.
connecting.
Some of those experiences you don't realize at the time when it's happening, but you've had so much success, right? You've learned from those past immersive experiences where you're sitting there, you're wondering what the hell is going on. Up to this point, you've had like what, 200 plus, songs for TV brands and
Yeah.
Well, what's your concrete craft trick? Like,
Oh, dude, just honestly, I guess what it is like when I walk into a room, I kind of put whatever I'm going through in that day, I leave it at the door, and it's literally just like being that bartender. Is I just show up and I'm like, man, anything goes. Let's have fun. It's honestly, I just, even if we're writing a song, we could be writing a really serious song. Like we've written some songs that talk about suicide awareness and stuff. But like, if you just open yourself up and just, it's like that first step in the room. It's like your first date when you sit down. It's like your opening thing. So I think for me, is I just try to make it really comfortable right away. Like, and I don't really know. I don't have like, I'm not the most technique driven person. It's more of like a thing that the French would say, je ne sais quoi. It's just like you don't know what it is. You just like go have a good time, go be open, go be vulnerable, and be comfortable. But it's an energy thing. I kind of rev myself up, kind of like I guess a football player before a game. I kind of do that for every session. Even this, I did it before this. I was like, like before I'm like talking to anybody, I'm just like, I just like it's like a switch. At this point, it's like okay, turn that switch on, and because
it has
everybody, there's the on switch and the off switch, right? And then the off switch ain't always easy to find, but but yeah, man, I just like to make it comfortable and kind of anything goes, and I've learned the craft of songwriting like more so in the last 3 or 4 years working with Joey so much that I also now have a craft that I can lean back on and how to like properly, write bar 7 and 8 in a song and just make that hook really land. And now I can take all that when I'm working with artists now as a writer. It's like go be comfortable, but also know how to write that good song. It used to be just have a good time, and then the hook would fall flat. But now I kind of have a technique. I really got to thank Joey for that. He's pretty much taught me. He's like my sensei. I'm the Karate Kid. He's sensei. He just kind of like showed me the ropes there. So now I do have a little bit of that technique that I could fall back on and just make sure the song's good.
I mean, you got to have that switch. Everybody's got to have that switch if you want to be in the business, right? You got to be able to talk to anybody, put on a face when you're not feeling so well. Especially in the music and like the publicity business where you're out talking to people or singing in front of like thousands at a time. Is there like a lyric that embarrassed you until you sang it live? Like, what reaction flipped your relationship with that line? Like, is there something like that deep that,
Yeah, honestly, it's not it's actually the least deep lyric though.
right?
The most embarrassing lyric that I've ever had to sing that like I wrote on the edge of the bed when I wrote that song Fantastic is like okay, so it's I feel fucking fantastic followed by hooray, hooray. And I'm like that just seemed like the cheesiest thing, but it just fell out. And the whole time I had that chorus, and I actually tapped a couple buddies to I brought into a session my friend Ryan Spraker, who's producing, and my friend Nolan Sipe. And Nolan and I had been writing a bunch of stuff for others, so I tapped him in. And I was like, I remember being really embarrassed to start like playing. Oh, I got this idea, guys. The second it came to hooray, hooray, I just like, man, it's the cheesiest thing. But then over time, playing it, man, I see people sing it back, and it's also like it's got a middle finger up. It's almost sarcastic. I feel fucking fantastic. Hooray, hooray. Throw me the party. Throw me the pity party. It's like I ended up really loving that lyric, but that lyric for from when I wrote it to when I started playing it was like, man, is this just too cheesy? Are you gonna get lost? Is the song not gonna be good because of that? But that kind of happens all the time with a lot of different lyrics. But I remember that one. That one sticks out.
Yeah, it's always kind of weird to test some new music in front of people, see if they like it or see who's paying attention. I know you've been on tour with The Offspring, 311, AWOL Nation, my boy Hardy. Like,
Yeah.
which crowd forced you to rewrite a transition, or like I know how it goes. So like, reorder your set, or or what changed permanently for you?
Hardy. That was what changed everything for our band. Like we were just like kind of destined to be a club band at this point. And we're a club band now on our own, but like before that tour, we're just like our life expectancy is just clubs all over the world because we're just like rowdy, kind of all over the place. I'm pretty spontaneous. Like I never had anything completely written out. And when you're playing these big rooms, the spontaneity really works well at clubs and everyone's drunk and you're really close. But when they're bigger rooms, you kind of have to have it. You have to be sort of an assassin with your set, and you have to like you have like two speaking moments. And I saw Hardy do that. So we regrouped. I mean, I actually watched him do it online and then also talked to Joey because Joey also works with Hardy. He's like, this is what he does. You guys got to get good at that. So that tour forced us to like put a set together and stick to a script, really. And I mean, that whole tour, down to what I was saying, was the first time ever I went scripted. I'm like, let me just, I got all the ideas, like kind of like writing a song. Like if I was having a drink or whatever, I get, oh, I should say this at this time. So it's kind of like writing a song when you're writing your set. And watching how professional that dude is every single night made me want to be that professional as well. Because once you have something airtight, you can almost sell your show to promoters and like it's the business side of it. They could be like, oh, these guys got their shit together. Let's throw them on a bill with 311 or whatnot, or like whoever, or let them like headline so and so place because they got their shit together. So I saw him, how airtight he was and how organized he was, and also how chaotic he was. And I'm like, man, I got to make my band like that. So he was sort of the mold.
Hey, you know what? It's called the show for a reason, I think. After, there's people who have rehearsed their show, and that means like fully rehearsed it, like the breaks, your jams in between,
Yeah,
that's what
transitions.
happens. It's very important. And there's those people who they like to tune their guitars live in front of everybody.
Dude, nobody wants to hear it. It's
Yeah,
just like, it works if you're like, I don't know, singer-songwriter Ryan Adams when he's just talking the whole time, like saying whatever. It can work, but I feel like, let your chaos be in your performance, but like in between, man, just it's again, you got to make it comfortable. Like you could turn off an audience like that. So like, just like even one of those, like I keep talking about the French right now, but they call it the vanilla white moment where nobody says anything. That can work sometimes if you have music going, but if you are a kind of band that plays a song and stops and then has another song, if it's an awkward silence, I feel like that affects the next song. There's got to be like there's time and place for it. So that's why we like to go. We're just like we have a 30-minute set 'cause we're an opening band at this point. So it is just like go the whole time, two talking points, one transition, one musical transition only, going from the break into fantastic. But I do want to actually for our next run, we're going out with Letdown at the end of January, so January, February, March, and I want to mess up the set a little bit and have a couple more musical transitions. So I'm in that process of doing that again.
that's great, man. I mean, like, what's a city that surprised you live and why?
The biggest surprise that we had, so we did the Hardy run, and then we about 6 months later, after doing that, we're like, okay, let's do a couple of headline shows. Is anybody going to be there? Because at this point we've never done one. So I feel like it was in Milwaukee. We're like, man, are we going to sell any tickets? It's going to be like 30 or 40 people, and it was almost 200. And that was I had Beatlemania at that point because my last band, like touring for 8 years, like we there's a Chicago we could do that because that's where we're from in New York, but it's hard out there, Like we don't stream overly crazy. So we played that show in Milwaukee, and I kept expecting the crowd to leave. I'm like, who are they here for? And they ended up being there for us. So it was there, and then we played another Midwest show. I want to say it was Minnesota, it was Minneapolis or something. But again, it was like 180 people or 200 people, and they were there. They had "Blame My Youth" merch, and they were singing all of our songs. And both those are only two headline shows outside of LA. Those both surprised me. So I'm looking forward to doing some of these markets again. Like I'd love to see what happens. It's been a few years since that Hardy run, but with that Hardy run, dude, I felt like we were open up for Motley Crue. Like he's a country artist, and he just kind of pivoted and went like half rock or went all rock. And his crowd there, he'd be playing like the first venue was like maybe 1,500 to 2,000 people. It was packed, and we were first of three, so it felt like we were playing our headline show because the crowd was just amped. It was like that new energy. I kept telling everyone, it's like we're opening up for Motley Crue before Motley Crue got really huge, and then as that tour went, like we played his first arena with him. It was the Wolfston, or it was in Connecticut. I can't Mohegan Sun, and it was a sold out arena show, his first one. And again, there was 10,000 people all there from the very first note that we played. Like 99% of the crowd was there, and I was pretty awesome. Pretty good experience, like
Yeah,
the best
this
experience.
is this is incredible. I think your crowd's going to continue growing. Like the one question I want to ask you before we close this show, what's one thing you blame your youth for?
Okay. So the band name actually came from a song I wrote with my boy Nolan, who I wrote Fantastic with, and Sam Farrar, producer out here. And we were just kind of talking. I didn't have the band name yet. We were writing songs. I'm like, man, I want to write the most Sean song. Like, I want to talk about Des Plaines, Illinois, where I come from, and like talk about my high school. My high school was Maine West, good high school. We were like, but we were called. They always called us trailer trash, just because like right next to the high school was a trailer park, and like the other schools, they like there's a couple schools that had like they were more well off, and they kind of just like we were on the other side of the tracks, according to them. It was an awesome place to grow up, but like that's just like what we had then. And I'm like, man, I want to kind of write a song that like just like I actually wanted to be like thank my youth, like thank you for where I'm from, but I wanted to twist it and give it a little bit of that hopeful hangover negative connotation. So we wrote a song just like blame my youth. That's just what I am. I am who I am because of where I came from and all these things that I did and all these messed up things. My crew in high school, we called ourselves Crew 13. We were just degenerates, like going to shows, drinking all the time, like high school kids did then, anyways.
Yes.
So like, yeah. So I just wanted to look at it. It's almost like a thank you. It's like a thank my youth, but blame just sounds better.
Yeah, I could list like 20 things I can blame my youth for, but it's not really
Yeah.
their fault. You can't really blame your youth. It's just some routine you
I
got stuck in, you know?
That's exactly it. And I was always torn on that because I'm like, man, blame is such a harsh word. It just for me, it just rolled off the tongue better. I could sing it better. Like, and I remember when we did it. There was also that Blink 182 song they had, "Blame It on My Youth," which is like the phrase. I'm like, dude, let's just take the it out of there and just like make a band name out of it.
Well, this has been fantastic, man. Sean, I really appreciate it. Blame My Youth. Check them out. They'll be on tour very soon. Of course,
Yes,
new
sir.
music probably coming out at some point as well,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, we got two. We got two. One of my favorite songs of all time. Hopefully, comes out by February, March. Really excited about this. So yeah, it's called Hero, and then we have a song called Last Good Thing that, if we could figure out how to get a little momentum social wise, we'll put that one out as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man.
I appreciate you, George.